How we doing, Shadar?
Awesome, man. Can't complain. Nice Friday. Of course, lots of random stuff going on around the world. But yeah, I guess tomorrow's always a better day.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about our experience going to Modex and to Automate and what's in store in the coming couple of months. Like I say, come September, the trade show blockbuster month.
hmm
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, trade shows, they are massive opportunities, and it's clear that it's for both sides too. Going to Monix and Automate, walking the floors, you saw a lot of these attendees engaging with products and companies they weren't probably familiar with until the event, until attending. And there's a lot of data that shows that they find it very pivotal to start their buying process at these trade shows. And we have more data on that as well about the likeliness of them actually even buying after meeting a salesperson. But you're also seeing on the other side from the companies, right? They're investing in this. I mean, these exhibits are extravagant. They're not cheap. I mean, some of them are easily over 500,000 just to increase their foot traffic placement and everything. I think that the real question becomes like, what do you do like in a sea of massive opportunity? How can you scope in on some of your most key, you know, opportunities at this event? I found that very interesting because I mean, it's a madhouse. It's easy to get lost, and um, you could just spray and pray, try to rub as many elbows as possible, and see what that brings you. But I always believe in be prepared, understand the opportunities that are ahead of you. And I think that's a big question that a lot of sales teams and marketing teams want to get better at.
yeah, and it looks like uh, the month of September is going to kind of, open up the floodgates again. There is IMTS, there is Printing Expo, there is RE Plus, there is Mining Expo, there is Gas Tech, and like every other day we end up, discovering one other massive trade show that's coming up in all these, big places, right? So the question becomes, if you're spending really like hundreds of thousands of dollars setting up the booth and sending people over, all the swag, the after party, whatnot, marketing expense and everything. And if you're expecting to build strong pipeline from those places, how does one think about being prepared and being ready to kind of tap into the opportunity, like you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, I think it first starts with doing the work to understand who's going. Um, it's great, like, right, just throw up a booth traditionally, and maybe foot traffic naturally drove in business. But today's world, it's getting louder even at trade shows. So I would say first thing, marketing or sales, they need to do the research, find out, create a list of who's attending, right? Like you got to find out that first, because what you want to do is drive targeted campaigns to those accounts after to preemptively have them want to attend your booth, stop by,
Mhm.
visit, Shardar, like, hey, I know we talked briefly. But if we want to really go a step further too, I think a lot of people do a good job on that one.
Mhm.
It's the second part that tends to take a back seat. It's like, okay, now you have your list. Let's say it's 100 or 150, accounts that are attending. Like, what do you know what's going on in there? A compelling event that allows you to really talk to them at a high level.
Mhm.
His This is what everyone's doing. They're getting that list, right? Like I said, they're doing a good job of that, but then they're hitting them with mass messaging. So the question
Mhm.
is, how can I stand out? And if you're able to understand a compelling event that's happening internally, whether it's management incentives, um, you know, I would say management initiatives, not incentives. I would say is like you could talk to them at a higher level that makes you so much more different than any other salesperson that's going to be on that floor. Even if they don't come to your booth, you know they're going to be there. So, position yourself in a good spot, and try to introduce, get a handshake, and talk about stuff that's impactful for them. Um, but the reality is, the reason why it doesn't happen is because it takes a lot of time.
Hmm. Yeah, I
You
was just
that's endless Google searches. You're scouring maybe through some tool around daily news, and you're not finding anything relevant. I mean, it could be like finding a needle in a haystack a lot of times.
hmm, hmm. Yeah, how do you get around that problem? I mean, it's we know that we have to do it's like hitting the gym every day if you want a six pack or if you want the nice muscles, right? It just takes that level of grind. How does one become smarter about that whole process?
Well, I don't think it's like people don't want to do it. It's just like, I mean, the best salespeople are great at managing their time. And then if they look at their time for an upcoming event, like, yes, like they want to spend some time with it. But like, I think they see it as like, hey, it'd probably be better to understand that they're going, track their hashtag, hit them up on social media, see if they're willing to, catch up for coffee before the exhibit opens, um, which, yield results a lot. And it still probably does for a little bit. But the thing is, it's just like, how do you go a little step further, right? And that step further requires a lot of time. And
Mm,
these trade shows are great, but these salespeople still have numbers and quotas that they have to meet. And spending hours trying to do random Boolean searches to find potential key articles, blogs, or 10K reports. That's that show like movement and compelling events that the account cares about. It could take hours,
mm,
and that's just quite frankly not where their best time is spent. You're
mm,
better off doing a high like level of volume. So I think that's what happens. I think the thing is the time game. Like,
mm,
is research helpful? Yes. But if it's gonna take me more than 10 minutes, I mean, honestly, if it takes you more than 5 minutes, you kind of have to drop it like it's hot and then move on and just make contact. Um, and I think that's really the the situation that salespeople are in, of this quality versus quantity game.
mm,
Some people favor quality and some people favor quantity, but really the answer is in the middle. And that's why B2Brain is such a useful tool for these trade shows because it gives them that middle ground, um, to not hurt their productivity, but also be well attended in their outreach.
mm. Yeah, I was just looking through the attendee list for IMTS. It's something like 1,800 companies, and we
1,800
want to
companies.
1,800 companies is just, it'll probably take like a month to meet everybody, but you've got like 4.5 meaningful days, right? So to your point of
I'm sure you could get it done in days, Sridhar.
we'll do it, man, one of these days. B2Brain to the rescue. To your point of finding that middle ground between quality and quantity, that's kind of the nature of the new B2Brain for events offering that we've been working with, which is to say, look, you've got 1,800 companies. Not all of them are the ones that you'd be interested in. There is a way to prioritize and pick the top 200 and get very specific, very targeted, very contextual insights on them. So you are better prepared ahead of the event. Use those insights to strike up a conversation, maybe set up a coffee chat or a meeting prior to the event or on the sidelines, and really use the face time to build like strong rapport and a deeper relationship with them. Like, I mean, we've been at Automate and we've been at Modex, and the quality of conversations we've had simply because we were aware of who our prospects are going to be interested in and what they might be finding of value. I think that, to me personally, that really moved the needle, right? They saw we were coming prepared. We knew what their business was about. We knew what was, taking place in their, situation. And
Hmm.
that really was the brainchild to say that, hey, this, if this is helpful for a company and they can see value, it must be so helpful for so many others who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars just for those 4 or 5 days, flying in, people from all over the country, sometimes all over the world, and wanting to make the most out of it, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I think you're 100% right. I mean, we saw the how we were received when we handed them those pamphlets that show them like, hey, we know you're probably targeting these companies here. Like, here's free information on what's compelling going on relevant to your company. And it was very well received. I mean, we were really busy after Automate, and
absolutely.
it going the extra mile does pay dividends. I think that's the bottom line. Like,
Yeah.
yes, there's success to happen when you hit them over. You keep repetition, right, and consistency. There is a lot of studies that frequency it does work, but if you can go a little bit extra, and that like going extra can yield something, especially when there's a compelling event. Like, look, there's not one salesperson in this room, well, in a room, that would tell you, I don't check for a compelling event in every opportunity. But
Hmm.
if you ask them how do they prospect, they go based off technographic, are they hiring? Things are very automated now, and honestly, it does not really make a difference. You might as well just hit them with a, pain relevance message, because it's going to work the same way.
Hmm.
Today, now it looks different. Like, how are you actually, if a compelling event is a big indicator for a closed deal, for a deal of the likelihood of a deal closing, why don't you use that for the way you reach out to people?
Yeah.
Right? Like, whether it's we're expanding our manufacturing plant, we just signed a big order with so and so company, and now we need more. We need more space. We need more people. Right? Like, these are real big events, and like, what's the impact if you do not do that in time? Right? Like, those are the things that create change.
Hmm.
And that's the bottom line. Like, so no sales leader would ever tell you in their like, would never tell you like, I don't care about a compelling event. But
Hmm.
again, when we go into these trade shows, we go into like just the way we go about outreach. We don't try to even track it. We
Hmm.
say it takes too much time, and it does. It does take too much time, because like, if your frequency is not frequent enough, you're gonna miss the boat. Because here's the thing, like, if they're showing high signs of compelling events that are relevant to your product, you're probably behind the 8 ball a little bit. You need to get in there.
Hmm.
But at least now, like, with and this is why I always loved B2Brain. It allowed me to quickly identify that, and then allowed me to understand who should I prepare for. And then, like you said, the trade shows was another great example. So, like, if there's people, okay, if you know that 74% of people are going to end up making a decision after a trade show, like, a lot of times it's something is a vendor they met at a trade show.
Hmm. Yeah. Who
Instead of
probably didn't market
focusing
them?
on the whole 100% or the whole 74% of that, why not understand who's the 20% of the people that are looking, or showing events that would suggest they're looking at something like what you do, because they
Hmm.
don't know what you do unless they've talked to you before.
Right.
Right? And as you're spending, like, if you try to focus on everyone, good chance you can miss those people. Spend
Very
time with
true.
the right people. These trade shows are expensive, so um, you want to make sure you maximize your time there, and that's what B2Brain is going to allow them to do.
Yeah. Well said, man. I think, yeah, it's been a big, moment of awakening, saying, high investment, in-person events,
Mm.
and, high quality conversations that you can have. Just be a little more prepared. Like, I keep reading up this thing, right? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And, opportunity is there at the event. Preparation is what you want to do ahead of time. And we've got like, 6, 7 weeks to go. I really think that people should figure out some method and some diligence to be very prepared, right? We obviously offer something that could be very, very compelling for them. help them shortlist the companies, get insights of them, be ready for it when they land up at the trade show venue. So yeah, it's a it's an exciting time. Several blockbuster stuff that's around the corner. Let's help our customers.
Yeah, I mean, amen. I mean, because I think there is a trend happening where people are not seeing the value, at least salespeople aren't seeing the value of some trade shows. I think they've had bad luck, and I would say it's because, they sit at a booth and they only try to find like people that their account is that the for the account they own, and it's just totally the wrong way. I would say is rub elbows with the right people,
Hmm,
and I think that will change your mindset dramatically about how effective these can be.
absolutely.
Um, and so these are, from my past experience, when I was working in real estate, the best connections and relationships I've made were through there.
Hmm,
It didn't have to even be a decision maker. Sometimes it was like their top agent,
hmm,
and they were doing this and that, and you have a real conversation with them, right? And I knew they were going beforehand. We met, got coffee, found out their problems, and then actually helped them right then and there with their technology. Like, and then from that, that gave me access to every decision maker in that account.
wonderful. That's
Like,
awesome. Hmm,
it's crazy when you just rub your elbows, be relevant, show them that, like, hey, like, I'm not every other salesperson. Like, there's a real reason why I want to make this face-to-face connection. You'll see a difference.
hmm. Fair point. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely the kind of things that a salesperson would want to have, right? Like real person-to-person
Mhm.
conversations and build those relationships, and in the process add value to them and potentially do some fairly meaningful business as well. So
Yeah.
awesome. We'll continue the conversation in the next round. But hey, good stuff, Billy. Thanks for all the inputs, and yeah, we'll see you on the other side very soon. Happy Friday.
Perfect. Happy Friday, Shadar.
Bye bye.